So we'll begin with a new chapter today, that is antidepressants. Okay, so the drugs which are used in the treatment of depression, which is one of the psychiatric disorders. We have seen the different types of psychiatric disorders also before starting the treatment of such psychological conditions. We have seen that there are three main types of psychological disorders, that is the psychosis, affective disorders and neurosis. These are the three main types of psychiatric disorders under which the second type, that is affective disorder, there are again two types, that is mania and depression are the two conditions. Okay. So either these two conditions may exist individually or they may coexist together. Okay, so when they occur together, both mania as well as depression, it is known as a bipolar disorder. That we have seen cyclic mood changes. So basically affective disorders affects your mood. Okay, so in mania, elation or irritable mood is seen, whereas in case of depression, the person becomes isolated, the person lacks the interest or feels guilty, has suicidal tendencies also. Okay, so depression nowadays in this pandemic situation also you must be hearing a lot of things going around that people are going into depression because of this situation. Okay, so antidepressants are the types of drugs which are used to elevate the mood. The depressed mood is elevated by this particular class of drugs. Okay. So now coming to the outline of this chapter, we are going to see the definition of antidepressants, the classification of the drugs which are used as antidepressants, then the individual drugs or the general pharmacology will be discussed under individual classes. All these are individual classes. Okay, so first one is the reversible inhibitors of MAO-A. Now each of the class has its own accepted short form. Okay, so these reversible inhibitors of MAO-A are known as RIMAs. Okay, then the second class is tricyclic antidepressants. These are popularly known as TCAs. Then the third class which we are going to discuss is selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. These are popularly known as SSRIs. Then the next one is serotonin and noradrenaline reuptake inhibitors. So these are also popularly known as SNRIs. Okay, so these are the accepted short forms for the individual class which is used as antidepressant. And the last one is the atypical antidepressants. Okay, so their mechanism is a bit different. These are the recently introduced agents, so they are classified separately as atypical antidepressants. And at the end, we are going to see the uses of these drugs which are used as antidepressants. What are the different uses apart from being used as treatment of depression? What are the other uses with these agents? To start with, the first point is the definition of the antidepressants. So antidepressants are the drugs which can elevate the mood in depressive illness, as simple as this. Okay, so the name itself implies what it is. Okay, so these are the drugs which can elevate the mood in the depressive illness. That is, the depressed mood will be elevated by these particular agents. Then coming to the classification of the drugs, as in the outline also we have seen there are 5 main classes into which it is divided into. Okay, the first one is the reversible inhibitors of MAO-A. I hope you will remember what this is. MAO-A is monoamine oxidase. It is the enzyme which is responsible for the metabolism of the catecholamines. And we have seen earlier that in the chapter anti-Parkinsonian drugs, there is one class known as MAO-B inhibitors. Selegiline and rasagiline are the two examples. Okay, so over there also we have seen that this enzyme exists in the two forms. Two isoforms are there, MAO-A and MAO-B. Two subtypes are there. Okay, isoenzymes you can call them. Okay, so over there MAO-B was involved in the metabolism of the dopamine which is formed into your CNS. Okay, or whatever dopamine exists in the CNS, its metabolism was inhibited by MAO-B inhibitors. Okay, so specifically MAO-B inhibitors were preferred. Here MAO-A inhibitors are preferred. Okay, so MAO-A basically is involved in the metabolism of the catecholamines. Okay, adrenaline, your dopamine. So their metabolism is basically carried out by this enzyme MAO-A. So these are the reversible inhibitors. So they can inhibit this enzyme, but the inhibition is reversible one. That is, they will keep the enzyme inhibited until your drug remain bound to this enzyme. Okay, so once the drug is removed from that site, the enzyme will gain its activity. Okay, so that's why this class is known as reversible inhibitors of MAO-A, and RIMase is the accepted short form for this. There are two examples under this class, moclobemide and chlorgyline are the only two examples. Then the second class which was introduced is tricyclic antidepressants. Popularly these are known as TCAs. Okay, so now again this class is divided into two subclasses depending upon which type of monoamine reuptake is inhibited. Okay, you can see the subclasses. It is named as, the first subclass is Na plus 5-HT reuptake inhibitors. Okay, reuptake process you all are already aware of. We have already seen it in the earlier classes. You all have already seen this particular picture in your ANS chapter under the adrenergic transmission. We have discussed this particular picture in detail. Okay, so this is what exactly is happening with your monoamine, specifically noradrenaline and dopamine is discussed over here. So how it is synthesized, how it is stored, and how it is released, and metabolism, and all these things are discussed over here. So under the termination of the action, one of the feature with your monoamines, okay, that is noradrenaline, adrenaline, or your 5-HT and all. So their action gets terminated by the process known as the reuptake. Okay, normally what happens when there is any stimulus, these whatever transmitters are stored in your vesicles, they will be released. Okay, so they will come and they will get released into the cleft. Maybe they will stimulate the further neuron, or they will act on the effector cells on their respective receptors. Okay, so once their action is over, either they will get metabolized or they will be taken back by the same neuron. Okay, so that process is known as reuptake. Okay, why reuptake? Because it is being taken up by the same neuron from which it was released. That's why that process is known as reuptake. So that same neuron is taking that particular transmitter back inside. So for this, again, it is a two-step process of reuptake. We have seen there is axonal transport and there is vesicular transport. Okay, so normally this neurotransmitter, it first enters into your axon. So in your axon, this is your axonal membrane. Okay, this is one axon terminal which is shown over here. Okay, and this is your active transporter. Okay, so this sign indicates the active transporter. So this neurotransmitter, whatever is released, it can be taken up back by the same neuron with the help of these active transporters. And the active transporter for this noradrenaline, okay, is NET. Okay, that is norepinephrine transporter. You are already aware that noradrenaline is also known as norepinephrine, and adrenaline is also known as epinephrine. Okay, so this NET is a norepinephrine transporter for the reuptake, axonal reuptake of noradrenaline. So it enters into your exoplasm, and from here again one more active transporter is there, VMAT. Okay, that is vesicular monoamine transporter 2. So it takes this noradrenaline back inside your vesicle. So it is stored back inside your vesicle. So this is a two-step process of reuptake of your transmitters which are released over here. Okay, so how TCAs are acting? They are acting by inhibiting these transporters. Okay, that reuptake process is inhibited, because of which it produces the antidepressant action. Okay, so depending upon what of which monoamine it is inhibiting the reuptake, it is again subclassified. So first one is Na plus 5-HT reuptake. Now this picture shows the reuptake process of noradrenaline. in the same way this 5-HT meaning serotonin or 5-hydroxytryptamine, it is also a neurotransmitter in your CNS. Okay, so this is actually an autocoid. It acts as a transmitter in the serotonergic neuron. Now this is an adrenergic neuron. In the similar way, in the serotonergic neurons, there is a reuptake process. Now here there is NET in case of 5-HT, which is known as serotonin. There is SERT, okay, which is a transporter, serotonin transporter, which is meant for 5-HT reuptake. So TCAs act by inhibiting the reuptake of both these monoamines, that is noradrenaline as well as 5-HT. So both these reuptake is inhibited by certain TCAs. So examples under this subclasses: imipramine, amitriptyline, trimipramine, doxepin, dothiapine and clomipramine. Okay. And the second subclass under the TCAs is predominantly NA reuptake inhibitors. Okay. So in the earlier class, those examples were inhibiting the reuptake of noradrenaline as well as 5-HT or serotonin. But here, this second subclass, it includes the agents which are mainly inhibiting the reuptake of noradrenaline. Okay, so they are preferably inhibiting the reuptake of noradrenaline with minimum effect on the reuptake of the 5-HT. Okay, so examples under this include desipramine, nortriptyline, amoxicillin and reboxetine. Then the third class is selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. These are popularly known as SSRIs. Okay, so as the name implies, what they will do, they will inhibit the reuptake of serotonin selectively, okay, without affecting the reuptake of noradrenaline, unlike the first subclass of your TCAs. So examples under this include fluoxetine, fluvoxamine, paroxetine, sertraline, citalopram, escitalopram and dapagliflozin. Then coming to the fourth class, serotonin and noradrenaline reuptake inhibitors, popularly known as SNRIs. Okay, now if you can remember the first subclass under the TCAs, that also inhibited the reuptake of noradrenaline as well as serotonin, right? Okay, so both these reuptake was inhibited by this first subclass of the TCAs also. And why this particular two agents are classified separately as SNRIs? That's because these are the recently introduced agents. Now in case of TCAs, okay, the first subclass of the TCAs, they also interact with other kind of receptors, okay, because of which it produces a lot of adverse effects, okay, which is not shown by these two agents. Okay, venlafaxine and duloxetine are the two examples classified as SNRIs. They don't fall under TCAs, they are classified separately because they do not interact with the other receptors, unlike the TCAs. So they have certain advantages over TCAs. We will see that a little later in the description. Okay, then the fifth and the last class is atypical antidepressants. Okay, so this is the recent class introduced. Okay, mechanism is a little bit different, that's why they are classified over here. Examples include trazodone, mianserin, mirtazapine, bupropion, atomoxetine, tianeptine and amineptine. So this to do with the classification. Coming to the first class, that is reversible inhibitors of MAO-A, RIMAs. Okay, under which the first example which is discussed, and the only example which is discussed here is moclobemide. Okay, so as the name implies, it is a reversible and selective MAO-A inhibitor. So it is selective towards inhibition of the enzyme, isoenzyme MAO-A without affecting the MAO-B. Okay, whereas it has shorter duration of action. So it acts for a short duration, short period of time. Okay. Now this particular drug is a competitive inhibitor of this enzyme. Okay. So if you say introduce tyramine along with this is an indirectly acting adrenergic drug. Okay, so when this tyramine is introduced, okay, along with this drug, it can displace this particular moclobemide from this enzyme. Okay, so generally what happens, when this tyramine, when along with MAO inhibitors, when these tyramine-like drugs are introduced, there are certain adverse effects or the hypertensive crisis may be precipitated. Okay, so this is an indirectly acting adrenergic agent. Okay, so when this is introduced, there are chances of the interactions with the non-selective MAO inhibitors. Okay, but this is not seen with this selective MAO-A inhibitor moclobemide, okay, because it can displace it. So there is no potentiation of this pressor response to these particular agents. Okay, so these ingested amines, okay, even when you combine it with moclobemide, there won't be any kind of adverse or hypertensive crisis or other adverse reactions may not be precipitated. Okay, even we have seen over there is some kind of interactions which is shown with certain dietary factors also, like cheese reaction and all may be precipitated. So such kind of interactions are not possible with moclobemide, so it is quite safe. Apart from that, even this agent does not interact with other kind of receptors, like it lacks the anticholinergic property, it lacks the sedative property, cognitive or psychomotor interference is also not seen. Even the cardiovascular adverse effects, okay, so all these adverse effects shown by the typical TCAs, okay, these are not shown by this particular class. Or moclobemide does not produce all these adverse effects which are produced by the TCAs. So that's a plus point. Okay, so that's why this particular class is preferred over the TCAs. Also, these drugs are safer in overdose. In case of the overdose or toxicity, these are quite safer as compared to the TCAs. So that's why this particular class of drug is become a good alternative towards the TCAs. Okay, especially in the elderly patients or those who are already suffering from some kind of cardiovascular disease. So it is quite safer. Coming to the adverse effects of this particular moclobemide, these include nausea, dizziness, headache, insomnia, then rarely excitement may be seen or liver damage may be seen. So adverse effects are quite less in number and not quite very severe. Only nausea, that is vomiting like sensation, may be produced. Even the interaction chances with other drugs, other CNS depressant drugs are also less likely. Only when you have to prescribe it along with pethidine or SSRIs or TCAs, when you are supposed to combine with these drugs, then only you have to administer the caution while administering along with these particular classes. Otherwise, it does not show any kind of drug interaction. Okay, so this particular class is preferred over TCAs, or it has emerged as an alternative towards the TCAs. Okay. Then coming to the next class, the second class, that is TCAs or tricyclic antidepressants. Coming to the pharmacological action. Now here general pharmacology will be discussed over here. So coming to the pharmacological actions. Okay, so basically the pharmacological actions which are shown depends upon their action of inhibiting the transporters. As we have seen in the classification that these TCAs, they inhibit certain transporters which are responsible for the reuptake, that is norepinephrine transporter NET, as well as serotonin transporter, that is SERT. Okay, this is responsible for the 5-HT reuptake. Okay, so these transporters are inhibited so that their reuptake is inhibited. The Na and 5-HT reuptake is inhibited and they will remain in the cleft for a longer period of time and their action will get potentiated. Okay. Apart from this inhibition of the reuptake, these TCAs also interact with some other type of receptors. You can say that many types of receptors may be stimulated by or blocked by these particular TCAs. Okay, so they can interact with muscarinic receptor, that is cholinergic receptor, alpha adrenergic receptor, histamine H1 receptor. They block most of the receptors here. Okay, 5-HT1 and 5-HT2. These are the serotonergic receptors. Serotonin is 5-HT. Okay, so 5-HT1, 5-HT2 receptors also it can interact with. So also dopaminergic D2 receptors also TCAs can interact with. Okay, so various agents can interact with these receptors, only their affinity towards different type of receptors may be variable. Okay, but most of these TCAs can interact with the other types of receptors also. They do not possess only this particular mechanism of action, but they tend to interact with several other types of receptors. They rather block several types of receptors. So there are lot of adverse effects which are produced by this class of drug. Okay, and coming to the actual pharmacological actions here, imipramine actions are discussed as a prototype drug. Okay, coming to the first action, that is on the CNS. Okay, so again here the actions are discussed depending upon whether you are administering the drug in a normal individual or in the depressed individual. Okay, so actions produced on your CNS varies depending upon whether you are introducing or whether you are administering the drug to the normal individual or to the depressed individual. Now coming to the actions produced on CNS in normal individuals. Okay, supposing if you administer these TCAs to a normal individuals, what are the types of actions which are produced in the CNS? What are the effects which are shown? Okay, so in normal individuals it will produce clumsy feeling. Clumsy meaning awkward kind of feeling will be produced in that particular individual, or tiredness may be seen, lightheadedness may be produced, or sleepiness. The person may tend to go to sleep. Sedative property is seen with most of these agents. Then there may be difficulty in concentration. The person may not be able to concentrate appropriately or think appropriately, or it may also affect the gait, the way in which you stand or you walk, your posture may get affected. Unsteady gait will be produced. So all these effects may tend to provoke the anxiety in the normal individuals. Okay, so these are quite unpleasant type of effects which are produced in the normal individuals. So also they do not elevate the mood, or they do not induce euphoria. The person cannot derive euphoria. The sense of well-being is not produced by these particular agents in the normal individuals. Okay? Rather all these effects are classified as unpleasant, and on repeated administration these effects will tend to become more unpleasant. Okay, so abuse liability with these TCAs is not there. Okay, the person may not become dependent. Psychological dependence is not seen with the TCAs. The person will not become dependent upon TCAs. Then coming to the actions in the depressed patients. Actually, when you start the treatment of these TCAs in the depressed patients, these rather produce little acute effect. Okay, that is acute effect meaning those effects which are produced immediately, short lasting effect. So once you start the treatment, it hardly produces any acute effect in the depressed patient except for sedation. That too it is shown by certain individual compounds. Okay, all the TCAs do not have sedative property. Okay, few of them have sedative property, and it's only the sedation which will be produced initially when you begin with the treatment. But as you continue the treatment, after say 2 to 3 weeks of continuous treatment, gradually the mood of the person will be elevated and the person will become more communicative. We have seen that the person tries to remain isolated, will not mingle with others, will not talk with others, okay, will try to remain isolated and depressed. So these symptoms are reversed. The person will become more communicative, will try to talk, will take interest. Okay, so gradually over a period of time, initially immediately it will not show antidepressant action, but it will take a little bit time. It has a time lag in between for it to show its action. Okay, so TCAs, these are not euphorians. Euphoria is not derived, we have seen, but they have antidepressant action. So the depressed mood is elevated, but in normal individuals euphoria will not be generated, neither it will be seen in the depressed patient. Only thing is whatever depression symptoms are there, those will get reversed. Like say for example, sleep architecture is also disturbed. The person may not be able to sleep appropriately. Architecture may be disturbed. Okay, so that preponderance of these REM sleep. So sleep cycle is disrupted. So that cycle will get normalized. The night awakenings which is seen in the depressed patients. So that also will be abolished. Okay, or it will be reduced. EEG changes, if you can see, this shows normal EEG changes similar to your hypnotic drugs. We have seen in the sleep also what are the normal EEG changes which are shown in different stages of the sleep. So normal EEG changes will be seen similar to your hypnotics, but at higher doses there may be some kind of desynchronization in these waves and whatever spindles and all which are seen in the EEG. Then, as we have already seen that these agents also have sedative properties. Okay, now this sedative property is variable. That is, all the agents under TCS, they do not have same degree of sedative property. Like certain individuals are less sedating and certain individuals are more sedating. So those agents, those TCAs which have more sedative property, okay, they have more prominent sedative property, these are specifically preferred for depressed patients in whom anxiety and agitation is seen. Okay, so depending upon your patient's condition, what kind of symptoms are shown by that depressed person, you need to select the appropriate agent. So those which have more sedative property, these are preferred in those individuals, those depressed patients who are showing anxiety or agitation. Whereas those TCAs which have less sedative property or those which have stimulant property, so such kind of agents are preferred for depressed patients in whom who are withdrawn or retarded. Okay, those who try to remain isolated and all. Okay, so in such individuals, less sedating or stimulant TCAs are preferred. Apart from that, TCAs also lowers the seizure threshold. Okay, so these drugs can precipitate the seizures. Okay, so you should be cautious, especially while administering these drugs to those who are already suffering from epilepsy. Otherwise, convulsions may be produced. Okay, especially in the overdose. By reducing the seizure threshold, it can start precipitating the convulsions also. Now, these particular agents like clomipramine, meprotilin and bupropion, these have highest tendency to precipitate the seizures. Apart from this, amitriptyline and imipramine, these can depress the respiration also, specifically in the overdose, not in the therapeutic doses. And coming to the mechanism of action. Okay, already from the names of the subclasses, it is quite clear what is the mechanism of action. Okay, so why it is discussed over here again in detail is that it's not merely the reuptake inhibition which is responsible for the antidepressant action. Okay, we'll see a little later why I'm saying this statement. Okay, so basically from the name it was clear that it inhibited certain transporters, right? So basic mechanism of action is by inhibiting the reuptake of certain monoamines, that is noradrenaline and 5-HT or serotonin, into their respective neurons. Okay, so these drugs act at both the type of neurons, the adrenergic neurons as well as the serotonergic neurons. So in their respective neurons, it inhibits the reuptake of these transmitters by inhibiting these transporters which are responsible for the reuptake process. That is NET, that is norepinephrine transporter in the adrenergic neuron, and SERT or SERT, it is known as serotonin transporter, which is responsible for reuptake of serotonin or 5-HT in the serotonergic neuron. So by inhibiting these transporters which are responsible for the reuptake of these whatever transmitters which are released, so these transmitters will not be taken back into the neurons. So their reuptake will be inhibited. So these transmitters which are released, it will remain in the cleft for a longer period of time and then it will act onto their receptors. So that's how the potentiation of the action of these transmitters. Here only Na is written. In the similar way, 5-HT transporters which are located in the exon of the serotonergic transmitters are also inhibited by TCA, so that just like Na, 5-HT reuptake is also inhibited, so it will also remain in the cleft for a longer period of time. Okay, so what happens? These TCAs, by inhibiting this reuptake, it results in increase in the concentration of these amines in the synaptic cleft, both in the CNS as well as in the periphery. Okay, so this is the basic mechanism of action. Okay, by inhibiting the reuptake of the transmitters, they will make the transmitters remain in the cleft for a longer period of time, and they will act onto their receptors for a longer period of time. So their action will get potentiated or enhanced. Okay, so there are certain conclusions which we can draw under the CNS stimulant chapter. We have seen that dopamine reuptake inhibition was actually responsible for the CNS stimulant action. Okay, whereas Na and 5-HT reuptake inhibition is responsible for the antidepressant action. Okay, mind it, CNS stimulation and antidepressant are two different facets. Okay, CNS stimulants agents, we have seen that they just globally stimulate the CNS, whereas there are certain agents which can improve certain functions also of the brain, but there the mechanism was inhibition of reuptake of the dopamine, whereas here the antidepressant drugs, they mostly inhibit the reuptake of noradrenaline as well as the 5-HT or serotonin. Now, we have seen that the mechanism is inhibition of the reuptake of certain transmitters so that they will remain in the cleft for a longer period of time, right? So this is the main mechanism by which the drugs show the antidepressant property. Now, there is a contrary to this action. It says that merely inhibiting the reuptake, inhibition of this reuptake is not responsible for the antidepressant action. Now, why this theory was put forth is because uptake blockage, this reuptake blockage, it takes place immediately once you start the treatment. Okay, so once you start administering the TCAs, this reuptake will be blocked immediately. But under the actions what we have seen, antidepressant action, does it start very quickly? It takes a little bit time, right? 2 to 3 weeks gap is required for it to show the antidepressant action. Immediately the TCAs will not show the antidepressant action. Uptake blockage takes place quickly once you administer. Okay, so these two actions, it's not merely because of the inhibition of the uptake that the antidepressant action will begin. Okay, so let us see what exactly is happening because of which this delay in the antidepressant action is shown. Okay, another conclusion which is put forth is that mianserin. Mianserin is a antidepressant. It is under the atypical antidepressant. It is a very good antidepressant agent, but the mechanism of action shows that it does not block any kind of uptake of any such monoamines. Okay, so what we have seen under the mechanism of action, antidepressant action is because of the inhibition of the reuptake of certain monoamines, say for example noradrenaline and 5-HT. But mianserin does not block any reuptake of any of the monoamines. Okay, so this shows that it's not only the reuptake inhibition which is responsible for the antidepressant action. So exactly what happens is, when you start the treatment with these TCAs, okay, initially what will happen, there will be more amount of noradrenaline remaining in your cleft, because your TCAs inhibit the transporter. In this case, NET is shown in the same way. SERT is also inhibited by the TCAs, especially the first one. Okay, so by inhibiting these transporters, your monoamines will remain in the cleft for a longer period of time. So initially there will be very high amount of these transmitters remaining in the cleft. So what will happen is, very high amount of these transmitters, okay, will initiate a feedback mechanism. Okay, homeostasis will come into picture. Okay, and these increased amount of transmitters, it will go and act on certain autoreceptors. If you can see over here, this is alpha 2 receptor. Okay, Na is supposed to act on the alpha receptor, noradrenaline, it acts on the adrenergic receptor. We have seen that adrenergic receptors are alpha receptors, beta receptor. Again in the alpha there is alpha 1, alpha 2, beta, beta 1, beta 2, beta 3 we have seen. Okay, but here if you can see on the same neuron, this is adrenergic neuron, right? Okay, so on this neuron there are certain receptors which are located. Alpha 2 receptors act as autoreceptor. Okay, now autoreceptors are the ones which are located on the same same neuron. Okay, actually noradrenaline acts on these receptors, right? These are adrenergic receptors. So these receptors are located on the same neuron. And what it is doing, when noradrenaline acts on this alpha 2 receptor, what it does, what this line indicates? It indicates the inhibition. Okay, so what it is inhibiting? This means the release of noradrenaline. So these alpha 2 receptor, autoreceptors meaning what? They are located on the same neuron and they inhibit the release of the same neurotransmitter which actually stimulates this receptor. So when these autoreceptors are stimulated, when there is more amount of noradrenaline in these clefts found initially, okay, because your TCAs inhibit the reuptake, so more amount of noradrenaline will remain over here. So when initially there is very high amount of noradrenaline over here, it will go and bind to its autoreceptor and it will start controlling its own release. So it will inhibit its own release, noradrenaline, the very high amounts. In the similar way, there are 5-HT1 receptor which act as autoreceptors. So serotonin, just like noradrenaline, serotonin is also released in the cleft from the serotonergic neurons. So just like alpha 2, in the serotonergic neurons there are 5-HT1 autoreceptors which will inhibit the release of the 5-HT. So what will happen? Initially high amount of these transmitters will go and bind to their autoreceptors and they will inhibit their own release. Noradrenaline and 5-HT release will get decreased. So there will be decreased firing of locus coeruleus, which is a noradrenergic neuron, and raphe neuron, which is a serotonergic neuron. Okay, so that's why there is a delay in the antidepressant action. So initially high amount of Na and 5-HT will go and bind to their autoreceptor and they will prevent their own release. They will inhibit their own release. So the amount of noradrenaline and 5-HT release from their neurons, it will be reduced. But later on, as you continue the treatment after long term administration, this is what is shown initially. But as you continue the treatment, what will happen is this antidepressant will start desensitizing these alpha 2 and 5-HT1 autoreceptors. So these autoreceptors which initially inhibit the release of the transmitters, so these autoreceptors will get desensitized. Okay, meaning they will no longer be remain sensitive towards the action of Na or 5-HT. So they will become desensitized. So also their the number of presynaptic as well as postsynaptic receptors, the number will also change, their sensitivity will also change. So also the amine turnover in the brain, that will also change. Maybe it will increase the turnover. That means your synthesis and release will be increased in the brain. So the net effect of this continued treatment is enhanced noradrenergic and serotonergic transmission. This is why there is a delay in the antidepressant action. Initially, no doubt it will inhibit the transporter, the amount of transmitter will be enhanced, but what it will do, it will quickly go and bind to the autoreceptor and inhibit its own release. But then later on, as you continue the treatment, these autoreceptors will get desensitized. I am talking about both alpha 2 as well as 5-HT1A and 1D autoreceptors also. They will get desensitized, amount of noradrenaline and 5-HT synthesis will be increased, so that ultimately there will be enhancement in the noradrenergic and serotonergic transmitter. Okay, so that initial blockage of the uptake, it will set up a time dependent changes. Okay, quickly it will not show antidepressant action, but it will set up certain series of activities which will ultimately result in the antidepressant action. So this is the mechanism of action of the antidepressants or the TCAs. Then this finishes the actions on the CNS also. So coming to the actions on the ANS, that is autonomic nervous system. Okay, we have seen that TCAs also interact with the other types of receptors also. Okay, so TCAs, they potentiate, these are the potent anticholinergics. Okay, so they have anticholinergic property. So they will start, remember it interacts also with the muscarinic receptor. They block the muscarinic receptor. So they will produce all the anticholinergic side effects like dryness of mouth, blurring of vision, constipation, urinary hesitancy. So all such anticholinergic side effects will be produced. Apart from that, exogenous or endogenous NA. So their action also will get potentiated because reuptake is inhibited, okay, by blocking the reuptake. So also they have weak alpha-1 adrenergic blocking property also. Alpha-1 receptors can be blocked by the TCAs. Certain TCAs like amitriptyline, doxepin and trimipramine, these also have antihistaminic property. That is H1 type of histaminic receptors can be blocked. So they have antihistaminic property also. And coming to the actions on the CVS, tachycardias will be produced. That is increase in the heart rate. This is because of the anticholinergic action and noradrenaline potentiating action. So both these actions are responsible for tachycardia. Apart from that, postural hypotension will be seen, decrease in the BP is seen. So that's because of the inhibition of the cardiovascular reflexes and alpha-1 blockage. Both these actions are responsible for the postural hypotension. Apart from that, certain types of arrhythmias may be precipitated, cardiac arrhythmias, say for example T wave suppression or inversion may be seen. So this indicates that arrhythmias may be precipitated. Now why these arrhythmias are precipitated, specifically in the overdose, by interference with the conduction, intraventricular conduction will get affected. Apart from that, noradrenaline potentiating and anticholinergic action, these are also again responsible for the precipitation of the arrhythmias. So also these drugs have direct myocardial depressant action also. So that will again result in conduction defects and arrhythmias may get precipitated. Okay, so you have to be very cautious while administering these drugs to elderly patients or those who are suffering from some kind of cardiovascular condition. So in this regard, SSRIs and SNRIs are quite safer as compared to the TCS. So this finishes the actions. Coming to the tolerance and the dependence. Okay. Now, as we have seen in the actions that they don't produce any kind of sense of well-being. Okay, that is, euphoria is not derived from the TCAs. So, as such, tolerance is not developed. They don't have any dependence liability. Psychological dependence is not seen with these agents because actions we have seen, these are not quite very pleasant. Okay, but tolerance may develop, yes, to the anticholinergic action and the hypotensive effect. Okay, whereas antidepressant action, that will be maintained. Okay, so as you gradually continue the treatment, tolerance will be developed to these two actions but not to the antidepressant action, that will be maintained. Psychological dependence, as I have told, it is rare to occur because it does not produce any pleasant effect, whereas physical dependence is possible. Okay, like for example, if you discontinue the treatment after a long period of time, malaise, that is general tiredness, chills, muscle pain may occur upon discontinuation. So it is advised that you should not abruptly stop the treatment. Okay, that you should stop the treatment gradually. The withdrawal should be done gradually. If at all you have to stop the treatment, you should stop it gradually. That is, lower the dose first. Okay, directly you are not supposed to stop the treatment, but lower the doses slowly and then stop the treatment. Coming to the kinetics, the oral absorption is quite good, okay, but it is slow to occur. They get absorbed completely, but the absorption is slow to occur. Then once into the systemic circulation, it is highly bound to the plasma protein as well as tissue protein. So it tends to remain bound to your tissue protein so that the plasma concentration will be low. So that's how the volume of distribution of this drug is very large, because the plasma concentration is in the denominators of the formula. Okay, so since it remains bound into the tissue proteins, so it tends to have a large volume of distribution. It starts accumulating in your tissues. Okay, then coming to the metabolism part, it gets extensively metabolized in the liver. Now certain TCAs gets activated. They get converted into an active metabolite. Like say for example these imipramine and amitriptyline, with the process of demethylation, okay, that is removal of the methyl group, it gets converted into an active metabolite. Say for example from imipramine, desipramine is the active metabolite, and amitriptyline gives rise to an active metabolite known as nortriptyline with the process of demethylation. Apart from that, certain other TCAs also have produced certain active metabolites which also block the reuptake of noradrenaline. Okay, then coming to the metabolic processes which are responsible for the inactivation, that is, it generates the inactive metabolites. Demethylation results in the production of the active metabolite, whereas oxidation and glucuronide conjugation, these are responsible for production of inactive metabolites, and the enzymes involved are CYP2D6, 3A4 and 1A2, and the metabolites which are generated, it gets excreted in the urine, and that too excretion is also very slow to occur. It will occur over a period of 1 to 2 weeks, as we have seen that the drugs have the tendency to get accumulated into your tissues. They remain bound to plasma proteins or tissue proteins, so they will get eliminated out from your body also very slowly. So certain agents have quite long T half-life, say 16 to 24 hours T half-life. Even certain active metabolites have even longer T half-life, even more than this. Okay, so this is the reason why a single daily dosing may be sufficient with these particular drugs. Initially you may have to give some repeated doses, but later on in the maintenance phase you may have to give only a single dose per day. That is sufficient. Then one more peculiar feature with this kinetics of these agents is they show unusual therapeutic window phenomenon. Okay, therapeutic window meaning actually is the range of the plasma concentration over which the drug will show the action. Okay, say for example 50 to 200 nanograms per ml of plasma concentration of these drugs, specifically imipramine, amitriptyline and nortriptyline. So these drugs show a specific therapeutic window phenomenon, that is, the therapeutic effects will be shown only in this range of plasma concentration. So very narrow band of plasma concentration shows the effect. So any concentration, plasma concentration going below 50 or any plasma concentration going above 200 nanograms per ml will not show optimal effect. Okay, so they will not show therapeutic effect. So therapeutic effects are shown only when the plasma concentration is maintained within this particular range of plasma concentration. Whereas if you can see certain drugs also show variation in the plasma concentration also. Okay, no doubt they show therapeutic window phenomenon, but if you administer the same drug to different individuals, there is also a variation in the plasma concentration. Okay, so merely monitoring the plasma concentration is not sufficient, but you have to individualize the dose. Depending upon the person's kinetics and the requirements, you need to individualize and titrate the dose depending upon the outcome which is shown. So you need to closely monitor the patient whether the outcome is being shown or no, and accordingly you should make the adjustments in the doses. Okay, so merely monitoring the plasma concentration may not be sufficient. Okay, so this finishes the pharmacokinetics.